Hi and welcome to a new video. I know I'm so late to this trend, but I really wanted to do the unrecognizable makeup look, which is basically just perfected, flawless, sort of glam makeup. If you're new, I'd love if you would consider subscribing. I'm planning to have a vlog up soon. It's just been a little bit harder to do that lately, and so I've been posting more sit-down videos. But anyways, let's get into the look. Okay, to start, so everything goes on super smoothly. I have this like dermaplaning tool. I do use the ones from Amazon sometimes, but I just want to do my upper lip right now. So I'm just going to use this thing because it's really quick. And I'll do a little between my brows. I feel like those are places where the makeup can look a little bit heavy when I have fuzz there. And then to prep my skin, I'm going to use this Loccitane emulsion serum. I like something with a little bit of a glow and a slight tackiness, because I feel like it just makes the makeup last and then also just stick to your face and look really smooth if it has a glowy base. Please try to ignore my nails. I have multiple broken ones, but it is what it is. Okay, and then I'm gonna try a new product today, which is a little bit risky. I realize that, but Merit sent over this like tinted moisturizer SPF sort of situation that they just came out with, and I've really been wanting to try it. So this is gonna be my base, and then if I need to like add more concealer and everything, I can still make it look really good. Hopefully this actually looks good on the skin though. The packaging of this is a little bit different than their typical style because it's this silver and it just looks a little bit more, I don't know, it's almost giving Huda Beauty. Not sure how I feel about that. I usually like their like gold aesthetic a little bit more. Anyways, it's the product that matters. I'm gonna use a sponge, but I'm not gonna dampen it because I wanna keep as much coverage as I can. If it comes out, there we go. We'll do a couple pumps. This looks slightly fair for me, but at the same time, I'm pretty pale right now. Oh my gosh, I just realized that my audio was not recording. Sorry about that. It'll just be the camera audio for a few minutes, but I'm just gonna tap this all over my face. It's definitely a light coverage, which I usually really like, but since we're going for a little bit more of a glam sort of look today, I definitely want to try and build it up. Honestly, this is a pretty good match for my skin where it's at right now, but because I have natural discoloration on my face, it's making me look really washed out and pale because, yeah, I have discoloration on my face and that makes me look a little bit less fair. But right now I am really light and this is matching my neck like perfectly, to be honest. I'm gonna try not to make this like a review or anything, but that did build up really nicely. I still have some spots peeking through though, so I'm gonna use this Ilia concealer to kind of cover those a little bit, some of that redness. And then I'll take my Nars soft matte concealer and go around my eye area. Just my go-to for under my eyes. It looks the best. I have very deep set creases. My favorite way to use this is just to tap it in with my finger. Okay, and then I'm gonna lightly set with the Kosas Cloud Set Powder. This is my favorite. Wow, in person anyways, that is just layering so well with my Kosas powder. But anyways, not only do I have deep set creases under my eyes, but I also have really intense dark circles, as you could probably tell. So I'm going to use a little bit of this Essence Brighten Up Banana Powder to just brighten under my eyes. I don't love this on its own because I find that my creases definitely stand out, but if I put it on top of the Kosas, then it layers really nicely and still gives me that kind of bright under eye effect. I'm gonna bring it down a little bit. For bronzer, I'm gonna use the new Rare Beauty Liquid Contour. I just talked about this in my favorites, along with the blush brush that works so well with cream products. A little bit of this definitely goes a long way, but it blends so easily. And I definitely want to not overdo it with the bronzer, but I want to add a lot because I'm pretty pale right now. And I also feel like it makes such a big difference in your face and makes your makeup look more, I don't know, just glam when you have a decent amount of bronzer or contour on. I don't really do like a super cool toned full-on contour. I just kind of combine it and do something more neutral usually. So this is in the shade Mellow, and I feel like this is the perfect neutral tone for like a bronzer contour in one. Blend it out and diffuse it, but try not to get it everywhere because I do want it to keep the face looking, you know, kind of chiseled. And then I just like to take it on the center of my forehead there because I do have a pretty big forehead. I feel like if I put it in the center, it kind of brings that down. It depends on your personal face shape. I used to put it on the sides here, and then I realized that is like the smallest part of my forehead. And if I want to do it in a way that makes sense, I should be putting it in the center because that's what stands out the most. And I've noticed a huge difference since I do my makeup that way. And it just makes my forehead look smaller, I feel like. Man, I really feel like I look washed out. Is that slightly better maybe? Or does it look too dim? I'm not sure. I do think that looks better actually because I feel like you can see more contrast. And before it was just like super bright light on my face. Just do a little bit of that on the sides of my nose. And then take a smaller brush and kind of do a little bit of a nose contouring situation. Usually I would just take my bronzer brush and just like messily put it on my nose. But since we're going for that really flawless look, I actually think I did too much though there. Okay, same brush, but a different one. For blush, I'm gonna use the Rare Beauty Matte Bouncy Blush. This is in the shade Happy. I feel like it's a perfect shade for summer, and I also just love a brighter kind of pink for when I am wearing a little bit more makeup. This formula just lasts so well on the skin and it looks really flawless, kind of gives like a satin matte finish. It just blends so well. I feel like this type of a blush or a powder blush on me, it tends to kind of look patchy, and this does not at all. And like I said in my favorites video, I love to layer this because it makes a really good long-lasting base for any blush. So I'm actually going to go over top with the Merit Flush Balm in Stockholm. These are not overly pigmented, but they're so dewy and pretty, and I really want like a nice glow to the skin, but still pigmented and something that will last. I don't know. I always like a lot of blush. Maybe I have blush blindness, but I think it makes the makeup look really pretty. In person, it looks like quite a bit of blush, but it's going to be toned down a little bit with the highlight. I forgot to grab the brush I would usually use for highlight. Honestly, I'm just going to use this Merit brush that I have here and just kind of put it on the end of the brush and tap. This is not how I would usually do this, but I don't have a lot of time right now and I don't want to go all the way across the house to get my other brush. And honestly, for every day I would use like a cream highlight or no highlight at all and just let my glowy blush be the star of the show. But if I was doing like event makeup, I would want to use a powder highlight because I feel like it stays longer and just makes the skin look a little bit more blurred. Especially this powder highlight. This is the Essence Pure Nude, and this just looks so pretty on the skin. I honestly think this is the only powder highlight I have. I just have creams because that's what I use for the most part, but I love this one so much. And then I'm just gonna take a little bit with my finger and put it on the tip of my nose. I kind of feel like no one does that anymore with their makeup, but I don't know, I still like nose highlight. I'm gonna do my eyes. I usually just like throw a bronzer in my crease if I even do anything at all, but I'm gonna use this Makiage palette that they did in collaboration with Kathleenlights. I think it was limited edition a couple of years ago. I'm gonna take the lightest shade and just kind of buff that everywhere. When I say the lightest shade, I mean the lightest matte shade. It's kind of like a nude shade. I'm pale enough that this is showing up on me quite a bit more than it usually would. And I'm going to take that other smaller brush that I use for nose contour, and I'm going to take a little bit of a darker shade, the one right below it, like a cool toned kind of brown crease shade, a little bit deeper than the other one, but still not a dark brown by any means. I'm just putting that kind of on the outer part of my eye. I feel like I haven't done eyeshadow like this in so long, but I do feel like it kind of just elevates the makeup a little bit, and I really just like to keep it to neutrals. And then I think I am going to use one of these shimmers, literally just tapping my finger in there. They're these really pretty ethereal kind of sheer shimmers, so gorgeous. I'm just going to tap that on my lid. I might actually use that for both eyes because I got kind of a lot. Sheer wash of like a shimmery, glittery top coat on my eyes. These are the only shimmers I ever wear. I don't do shimmer eyeshadow usually anymore, but these just look so pretty and like iridescent and sheer. Okay, and then the part that I feel like honestly makes the biggest difference, like if you're gonna skip the eyeshadow, don't skip this step. I'm gonna take the darkest brown in the palette on this kind of angled liner brush. I'm just gonna apply that to my upper lash line on the outer part of my eye, and I'll bring it in a little bit but not too far to make my lashes look thicker. I always do this instead of regular liner because it's so foolproof. Like, it's really hard to mess up. Blend it, smudge it out a little bit so that it's not a perfect line. It looks so good. And you can totally do a little wing with this too, but it does take a little bit of time. And like I said, I don't have a ton of extra time. Okay, and then for eyebrows, my favorite way to do them is a brow pencil of some sort. I'm currently just using this Lawless one. And then my favorite like brow tint is the e.l.f. Wow Brow. This just adds the perfect amount of color. I'm pretty much out of this one, so it's not gonna look as good as it usually would. It usually has more pigment to it, but I'm gonna make it work. And then on top, the Rare Beauty Clear Brow Gel. This locks your brows down and it doesn't leave like a nasty, thick, goopy like residue on your brows, if you know what I mean. I'll just kind of go over some areas with the pencil. I do prefer a more natural brow, so I'm not gonna go crazy with it. And I'm not gonna do like a laminated brow look or like anything extreme, but I am gonna kind of slightly brush my brows up just a little bit so they look, I don't know, not fluffy by any means, but more fluffy than they would look naturally, I guess. Hopefully those look even. I think they're even. Great, I have had a few interruptions throughout this video, so if the lighting suddenly looks different or anything, that's probably why. We're almost done, but to add some contrast and kind of brighten up the eyes, I'm gonna use a nude eyeliner for my waterline. I'm just gonna curl my lashes really well and add mascara. I do feel like my lashes are not their best ever because I got used to the results of a lash serum and then I stopped using it when I was pregnant and I just really miss it, honestly. I know I've talked about this in past videos. It's more just if you're new here and you care at all, I don't know, but I talked about the Dime lash serum that I was trying it out. I just don't really love it. I don't know. It didn't really do much for my lashes. I'm gonna use the Sills Booster from Lancome to kind of prime my lashes though, to help with extra volume and stuff. And then I'm just gonna go over top with the mascara that I have right now, the Sky High from Maybelline. This is not my favorite, honestly. I'm not a big fan of this, but it's just what I'm trying to get through. And then I'm hopefully soon gonna pick up like the Tower 28 one or my Lancome Monster Big if I can find it on sale, we'll see. I also love the Thrive Cosmetics mascara, but I don't like that that's the only thing I get from Thrive and I have to pay shipping on their website, but like with Sephora I get free shipping. So this doesn't look bad though with the Lancome primer. That helps a lot with volume. And I do feel like the contrast of the nude liner on the bottom and the dark shadow on the top, I just feel so much more confident. I really should do that more. Okay, and then for lips, I'm gonna line with the NYX Nude Truffle Liner. And I'm gonna put a gloss on top. Glossy lips always, like that just really completes the makeup look for me anyways. I also really like nude beige, especially for every day, but I think this one pairs really nicely with this gloss. It's the Lawless Forget the Filler in the shade Velvet. Guys, I love these so much. I just feel like they are the juiciest glosses that really make your lip lines look kind of filled in and plumped. It's not like intense or anything, but it does give like the slightest bit of a cooling kind of feeling. It's just so glossy and juicy. To finish off the look, I'm gonna use kind of like a glowy setting spray because I just feel like it melts everything and gives me the best results. This isn't the best for lasting, so if I were to actually go to an event, I would use something else or I would layer this with something else like the Urban Decay one, but I'm just gonna use the Colourpop Pretty Fresh because I'm literally just at home tonight. I am truly so impressed with the way that tinted SPF looks on my skin. I really feel like the camera isn't doing it justice. My hair needs some oil right now, so I just did it today and I haven't added any yet and it's kind of frizzy. I used my Time straightening brush for the first time since cutting my hair and just kind of like did little swoops with it to give it this look, and I feel like it looks so much better styled this way. I was just using a regular straightener the last couple times and I don't know why. Like, it looks so much better with the straightening brush. I don't know, it ends up looking fluffier and I need that since I don't have a ton of layers, at least in the back I don't really. I did add more in the front after I got it cut, which I mentioned in my last video, but the back is kind of flat, but this helps a lot with making the layers in the front pop, I think. But I think I am gonna add even more. Anyways, that's enough rambling about my hair. This is the completed makeup look. I just feel really confident in this look. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully I was in focus this whole video and hopefully the lighting ends up being okay. I don't usually film in my bathroom with this lighting situation. I'm usually using natural light or like my ring light or something, and I wanted to try something different today, so hopefully it looks okay. This trend was so fun, and I do feel like makeup is kind of coming back a little bit, because I think we all thought its moment was sort of over, but anyways, that's gonna be it for me today. Consider subscribing like I mentioned before, and hopefully I'll see you back for my next one.